This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 100, Delegate or Die, the Self-Employed Trap, by Derek Sivers of Sivers, that's Sive.rs. And welcome to the 100th episode of Optimal Startup Daily. I thank you for being here. This is where I read to you from the best blogs that we can find on entrepreneurship. And if there is any startup blog that you read and you'd like to have in audio form, please let us know. You can reach out to us at oldpodcast.com. And before we get to today's post, I want to thank Gusto. I've shared before some of what small business owners have said about them, but there's actually a lot more. Here are some real people. Tom S. says, Gusto has allowed my small company to offer big-time benefits without an HR department. And that's been true for us too, actually. Here at Optimal Living Daily, we feel like we have a full-time payroll and HR department that can offer benefits, all thanks to Gusto. Laura L. says, with Gusto, even my employees are impressed with how easy their new hire paperwork is. Also true for us here at Optimal Living Daily. When we switched over to Gusto, I had to do the new hire paperwork, and yeah, it was a breeze. Super fast, easy, and I didn't need any additional instructions or help. And here's what Brian L. says. Gusto is super simple and easy to use. I've used multiple other payroll processes, and there's nothing like this out there. And the list goes on. Right now, our listeners get 3 months free when they go to gusto.com/OSD. Yep, 3 months of payroll, benefits, admin, and more totally free. Again, that's gusto.com/OSD. gusto.com/OSD. Now, today's post is from popular entrepreneur Derek Sivers, and I'll give you some more info about him right after the reading. So for now, let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. Delegate or Die, the Self-Employed Trap, by Derek Sivers of Sivers, Sive.rs. Most self-employed people get caught in the delegation trap. You're so busy doing everything yourself. You know you need help, but to find and train someone would take more time than you have, so you keep working harder until you break. Here's my little tale of how I broke into the delegation mindset. In 2001, CD Baby was 3 years old. I had 8 employees, but I was still doing everything else myself. Working 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week, everything still went through me. Every 5 minutes, my employees had a question for me. Derek, some guy wants to change the album art after it's already live on the site. What do I tell him? Derek, can we accept wire transfer as a form of payment? Derek, someone placed 2 orders today and wants to know if we can ship them together as one, but refund him the shipping cost savings. It was hard to get anything done while answering questions all day. I felt like I might as well just show up to work and sit on a chair in the hallway just answering employees' questions full time. I hit my breaking point. I stopped going to the office and shut off my phone. Then I realized I was running from my problems instead of solving them. I had to fix this or I'd be ruined. After a long night of thinking and writing, I got myself into the delegation mindset. I had to make myself unnecessary to the running of my company. The next day, as soon as I walked in the door, someone asked, Derek, someone whose CDs we received yesterday has now changed his mind and wants his CDs shipped back. We've already done the work, but he's asking if we can refund his setup fee since he was never live on the site. This time, instead of just answering the question, I called everyone together for a minute. I repeated the situation and the question for everyone. I answered the question, but more importantly, I explained the thought process and philosophy behind my answer. Quote, yes, refund his money in full. We'll take a little loss. It's important to always do whatever would make the customer happiest, as long as it's not outrageous. A little gesture like this goes a long way to him telling his friends we're a great company. Everyone always remember that helping musicians is our first goal and profit is second. You have my full permission to use that guideline to make these decisions yourself in the future. Do what makes them happiest. Make sure everyone who deals with us leaves with a smile. End quote. I asked around to make sure everyone understood the answer. I asked one person to start a manual and write down the answer to this one situation and write down the philosophy behind it. Then everyone went back to work. 10 minutes later, new question. Same process. 1, gather everybody around. 2, answer the question and explain the philosophy. 3, make sure everyone understands the thought process. 4, ask one person to write it in the manual. And 5, let everybody know they can decide this without me next time. After 2 months of this, there were no more questions. Then I showed someone how to do the last of the stuff that was still my job. As part of learning it, they had to document it in the manual and show it to someone else too. Learn by teaching. Now, I was totally unnecessary. I started working at home, not going into the office at all. I had even taught them my thought process and philosophy about hiring new people. So our 2 newest employees were entirely found, interviewed, hired, and trained by other employees. They used that manual to make sure every new employee understood the philosophy and history of CD Baby and knew how to make decisions for themselves. I'd call in once a week to make sure everything was okay, and it was. They didn't even have any questions for me. Because my team was running the business, I was free to actually improve the business. I moved to California just to make it clear that the running of things was up to them. I was still working 12-hour days, but now I was spending all my time on improvements, optimizations, and innovations. To me, this was the fun stuff. This was play, not work. While I was away, my company grew from $1 million to $20 million in 4 years, from 8 to 85 employees. There's a big difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. Being self-employed feels like freedom until you realize that if you take time off, your business crumbles. To be a true business owner, make sure you could leave for a year, and when you came back, your business would be doing better than when you left. You just listened to the post titled Delegate or Die, The Self-Employed Trap by Derek Sivers of Sivers, Sive.rs. And thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this episode. In 2021, give a gift of exploration and knowledge. Get creative and learn how to make the perfect homemade gift for your loved ones. Explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/OSD and get a free trial of premium membership. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. There are so many topics to explore, including music production, web development, creative writing, and more. Fun fact about me, I love collecting fountain pens, and I've always wondered how I can use them in different ways, and I stumbled upon this Skillshare class called A Comprehensive Guide to Hand Lettering, Creating Graphic and Script Styles. Hand lettering is a fascinating skill to learn, and it's especially great when adding a personal touch to your gifts. I also can't believe how many resources I'm able to get access to with just less than $10 a month with Skillshare's annual subscription. So give a gift this year that's one of a kind, completely personalized, or perfectly imperfect. Join me and explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/OSD and get a free trial of premium membership. That's 2 weeks free at Skillshare.com/OSD. And thank you to Derek for letting us read his content, which we've been doing for quite a while now, since episode 44 of Optimal Living Daily, which was about 5 years ago. Derek is a super talented musician and programmer who created the popular website mentioned in this post called CD Baby, where independent musicians can sell their CDs online. Now, this was back in the 90s when CDs were how we were all listening to music. And around 10 years later, he still owned the entire company and sold it to disc makers for $22 million, putting most of it away into an organization he created called the Independent Musicians Charitable Trust, which will fund music education after he passes away. He's also a TEDx speaker and popular writer with some great books like Anything You Want. Definitely worth checking those out. So come by his site, which is just his last name with a dot in it. That's Sivers. And again, the website is spelled Sive.rs. And you can find that in this episode's description and at oldpodcast.com. But that's going to do it for today. I thank you so much for being here on this milestone 100th episode of the show. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and here's to another 100. And that'll start tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.